She was just 17 years old. Her father walked out the door and never looked back. But the worst part? Her own mother looked her in the eyes and said, "You are the reason he left." If this story hits you deep, make sure you subscribe to her words. Because the next part of this story is going to shock you. Hit that subscribe button right now. Welcome back to Her Words. Today, I am sharing a real story about a family that looked perfect from the outside. But behind closed doors, everything was falling apart. This is the story of Sarah, a 17-year-old girl whose life got destroyed not by strangers, but by the two people who were supposed to love her the most. This is part 1, and, trust me, it is only the beginning. Sarah had always been the kind of girl who believed in family. She grew up in a small house in Texas where everything felt normal. Her parents, David and Linda, had been married for almost 20 years. From the outside, they looked like the perfect couple. They went to church together on Sundays. They had family dinners every Friday night. The neighbors always said they were the ideal family on the street. But Sarah was not stupid. She was quiet, yes. She kept to herself most of the time. But she noticed things. Small things. Things that other people in the family just ignored or pretended were not happening. It started about 6 months before everything fell apart. David started coming home late. At first it was once a week. Then it became 2 or 3 times a week. He would walk through the door smelling like a different perfume. Not Linda's perfume. Something sweet and warm that Sarah had never smelled before. David would kiss Linda on the cheek quickly and then disappear into the bedroom, saying he was tired from work. Linda never questioned it. Or maybe she did, but she never said anything out loud. Sarah watched her mother every single night. She watched the way Linda would look at the door when David walked in. There was something in her eyes. It was not love. It was not even anger. It was fear. Linda was afraid of something. And Sarah did not understand why. Sarah's younger sister Emma was only 12 at the time. Emma was the happy one in the family. She did not notice the small changes. She was too busy with school and her friends and her dance classes. Emma loved her father more than anything in this world. She would run to him every time he came home and hug him so tight, like she was afraid he would disappear one day. And one day he did. It was a Tuesday night in March. Sarah was sitting in her room doing homework. She could hear her parents talking downstairs. At first their voices were calm, normal. But then Linda's voice started to get louder. Sarah put down her pencil and listened. "Where were you, David? I called you 5 times. 5 times. Where the hell were you?" David's voice stayed calm. That was the thing about David. He never raised his voice. He never yelled. He just spoke in a quiet, smooth way that made Linda feel like she was the crazy one. "Linda, I told you. I had a late meeting. Why do you always do this? Why do you always start a fight? A late meeting? Every single night? Do you think I am stupid, David?" There was silence after that. A long silence. Sarah held her breath. Then David spoke again. But this time his voice was different. It was not calm anymore. It was cold. "I am done, Linda." Sarah felt her heart stop. "What do you mean you are done?" Linda's voice cracked. She sounded scared. "Now, not angry anymore. Scared. I mean, I am done. I have been done for a long time. I cannot do this anymore. David, please. Let us talk about this. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. Please, think about the girls. Think about Sarah and Emma. I have thought about them. That is why I'm telling you now, instead of lying to you every single day." Sarah could hear her mother crying now. Real crying. The kind of crying that comes from deep inside your chest. The kind that hurts to listen to. "Who is she, David? Who is it?" Another silence. "Her name is Rachel. I have been seeing her for 8 months. 8 months. Sarah felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. 8 months. That meant it started long before the late nights. Long before the different perfume. David had been lying to all of them for 8 months, and no one knew. Not Linda, not Sarah, no one. The next morning David packed a bag. Sarah watched from the top of the stairs. He moved quickly and quietly like he had already planned this. He did not say goodbye to Sarah. He did not even look up at the stairs. He just walked to the door, opened it, and left. Emma was still asleep. She did not know what happened yet. Sarah knew that when Emma woke up and found out, it was going to destroy her. Emma loved David so much. He was her whole world. Linda did not come out of her bedroom for the entire day. Sarah knocked on the door 3 times. Each time Linda just said, "Go away." So Sarah did. She went to the kitchen and made breakfast for Emma. When she woke up, Emma sat at the table eating cereal and asked where their father was. Sarah did not know what to say. She just looked at her little sister and said, "Daddy had to go away for work for a little while." Emma smiled and nodded like it was the most normal thing in the world. Sarah wanted to cry right there, but she held it in. She had to be strong. Someone in this family had to be strong. That evening, Linda finally came out of her bedroom. Her eyes were red and puffy. She looked like she had not slept at all. She walked into the kitchen where Sarah was cleaning up after dinner. Emma had already gone to bed. Linda stood in the doorway and looked at Sarah for a long time. Sarah looked back at her mother and waited. She thought maybe Linda was going to hug her. Maybe Linda was going to say something like, "We are going to be okay." Maybe Linda was going to be the mother Sarah needed her to be in that moment. But that is not what happened. Linda's face changed. The sadness turned into something else, something darker. Her eyes got narrow, and her jaw got tight. She looked at Sarah like she was seeing her for the first time, but not in a good way. In a way that made Sarah feel like she had done something terribly wrong. "This is your fault," Linda said. Sarah blinked. "What?" "You heard me. This is your fault, Sarah. If you had been a better daughter, if you had been more normal, he would have never left. He left because of this family. And you are the biggest problem in this family." Sarah stood there frozen. She did not understand. She had done nothing wrong. She had never given her parents any trouble. She had good grades. She stayed out of the way. She was the quiet one, the good one. And now her mother was blaming her for her father leaving? "Mom, that does not make any sense. Dad left because of another woman. That is not my fault. That is not anyone's fault except—" "Shut up, Sarah." Linda's voice was so loud that it echoed through the kitchen. "You do not know anything. You are just a kid. You think you know everything, but you do not. This family was fine before you started causing problems. Everything was fine." Sarah wanted to argue. She wanted to scream back and tell her mother that nothing was ever fine. That David had been lying for months. That the perfect family they pretended to have was never real. But she did not. She just stood there and looked at her mother. And for the first time in her life, Sarah felt truly alone. That night, Sarah lay in her bed staring at the ceiling. She could hear Emma sleeping peacefully in the next room. Emma did not know the truth yet. Emma still thought their father was coming back. Emma still believed everything was going to be okay. But Sarah knew better now. She knew that the family she thought she had was never real. She knew that her father had chosen another woman over all of them. And she knew that her own mother had just turned against her for no reason at all. Sarah closed her eyes and made herself a promise. She was going to find out the truth. The real truth. About her father, about her mother. About everything. Because something was not right. And Sarah could feel it deep in her bones. This was only the beginning. The first week after David left was the quietest week Sarah had ever experienced in her life. The house felt empty. Not just because David was gone. It felt empty because Linda had become a completely different person. She stopped cooking. She stopped cleaning. She barely even talked. She would sit on the couch all day staring at the wall, like she was somewhere else completely. Sarah had to take care of everything. She made breakfast for Emma every morning. She made sure Emma got to school on time. She cooked dinner at night. She did the laundry. She did everything. And Linda did not even notice. Or maybe she did notice. But she did not care. Emma still did not know the full truth. Sarah had been protecting her from it. Every time Emma asked about David, Sarah would make up a reason. She told Emma that their father had to go on a long business trip. She told her he would call soon. She told her everything was going to be okay. But Emma was not stupid either. She was only 12, but she could feel that something was very wrong. She saw the way Linda looked at her sometimes. She saw the empty chair at the dinner table. She saw the way Sarah carried the weight of the whole house on her shoulders every single day. One night, Emma came into Sarah's room and sat on the bed. She looked at Sarah with those big brown eyes and said, "Sarah, is Dad ever coming back?" Sarah felt her heart break right there. She looked at her little sister and for a second she thought about telling her the truth. Everything. About Rachel. About Linda blaming her. About how the family was falling apart piece by piece. But she did not. She could not do that to Emma. Not yet. "Of course he is coming back," Sarah said. "He just needs some time." Emma nodded, but Sarah could see that she did not believe it. Kids always know more than adults think they do. The second week was when things started getting worse between Sarah and Linda. It began with small things. Linda would walk past Sarah in the hallway without even looking at her. She would make breakfast for Emma but not for Sarah. She would talk to Emma in a sweet voice, but the moment Sarah walked into the room her face would change. Her eyes would get cold and hard. It was like Sarah had become invisible to her. Or, worse than invisible. It was like Sarah had become the enemy. One morning Sarah was getting ready for school. She came downstairs and Linda was sitting at the kitchen table drinking coffee. Sarah said good morning. Linda did not respond. Sarah said it again. Linda still did not look up. She just kept staring at her coffee like Sarah was not even there. Sarah stood there for a moment and then she said, "Mom, I need money for lunch today." Linda finally looked up. But the way she looked at Sarah made her stomach drop. It was not anger exactly. It was something colder than anger. It was disgust. "Why should I give you anything?" Linda said quietly. Sarah did not know what to say. She just stood there staring at her mother. "You want to know why your father left?" Linda continued. Her voice was calm, but there was venom behind every word. "It was because of you. You were always the problem in this family. David could not take it anymore. The way you act. The way you look at people. The way you make everyone uncomfortable. That is why he left. He could not stand being in the same house as you." Sarah felt tears burning in her eyes, but she refused to cry. She refused to let Linda see her breakdown. She had cried enough in her bedroom alone at night. She was not going to cry in front of her mother. "That is not true and you know it," Sarah said. Her voice was shaking but she kept it steady. "Dad left because he was seeing another woman. Her name is Rachel. You heard him say it yourself. This has nothing to do with me." Linda slammed her coffee cup down on the table so hard that it almost shattered. She stood up and pointed her finger at Sarah. "Do not you ever talk to me like that again. Do not you ever bring up that name in my house. You are living under my roof. You eat my food, you sleep in my house. So you will keep your mouth shut, and you will do what I say, are we clear?" Sarah said nothing. She just grabbed her backpack and walked out the door. At school Sarah could not focus on anything. She sat in class and stared at the board but nothing was going into her head. All she could think about was her mother's words. The way Linda looked at her. The way she blamed her for everything. Sarah had never felt so confused and so hurt at the same time. She did not understand what she did wrong. She had done nothing to deserve this. She was just a normal girl living a normal life and suddenly everything had been taken away from her. After school Sarah walked home slowly. She did not want to go back to that house. She did not want to see Linda's face. She did not want to hear those words again. But she had no choice. She had nowhere else to go. When she got home Emma was sitting on the couch watching television. Linda was not there. Sarah asked Emma where their mother was. She said she was going out, Emma said without looking away from the screen. She did not say when she would be back. Sarah nodded and sat down next to Emma. They sat there in silence for a while. The house felt so empty, so cold. Nothing like the home it used to be. That night after Emma went to sleep, Sarah sat in her room and started thinking. She started thinking about everything Linda had said. About how Linda blamed her for David leaving. About how Linda refused to accept the truth. And then a thought came into Sarah's mind. A thought that changed everything. What if Linda was not just blaming Sarah because she was hurt? What if there was a reason behind it? What if Linda was hiding something? What if the reason David left had nothing to do with Rachel at all? What if there was something else going on that Sarah did not know about? Sarah picked up her phone and opened it. She went to David's contact. She had not talked to him since the night he left, not once. He had not called her. He had not texted her. Nothing. It was like he had forgotten she existed. Sarah stared at his number for a long time. Her thumb hovered over the call button. She took a deep breath and pressed it. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Then David picked up. Hello? His voice sounded surprised. Like he did not expect to hear from her. Dad, Sarah said. Her voice was quiet, calm, but inside her heart was beating so fast. We need to talk. I need to know the truth. The real truth. About why you left. About Mom. About everything. There was a long silence on the other end. Sarah could hear David breathing. She could almost feel the tension through the phone. Then David spoke. And what he said made Sarah's blood go cold. Sarah, there are things about this family that you are not ready to hear. Things that your mother does not want you to know. Things that I have been hiding from you your whole life. Sarah sat up straight. Her hands were shaking now. What things, Dad? What are you talking about? Another silence. Then David said, Not over the phone. Meet me tomorrow after school. I will text you the address. And Sarah, do not tell your mother. She cannot know about this. The line went dead. Sarah sat there in the dark holding her phone. Her heart was pounding. Her mind was racing. David had just told her that there were secrets, big secrets. Secrets that Linda had been hiding from her. Secrets that could change everything. Sarah did not sleep that night. She lay in bed with her eyes open, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow was going to change her life. She could feel it. She did not know what David was going to tell her, but she knew it was going to be big. She knew it was going to explain everything. Why Linda blamed her. Why David really left. Why this family was never what it seemed. Tomorrow the truth was going to come out, and Sarah was ready to hear it. No matter how painful it was going to be. Sarah could not sleep the whole night. She kept looking at her phone, waiting for David to send her the address. At around 6 a.m. the message finally came through. It was a small cafe about 20 minutes from their house. Sarah had never been there before. She saved the address and deleted the message right away. She could not let Linda find it. The whole day at school felt like it was going on forever. Sarah sat in every class and watched the clock on the wall. Every minute felt like an hour. She could not think about anything else. All she could think about was what David was going to tell her. What secrets had he been hiding? What was Linda not telling her? Her mind was going in circles all day long. When the final bell rang, Sarah grabbed her backpack and walked out of the school as fast as she could. She did not go home. She got on the bus that went toward the cafe. Her hands were sweating the whole ride. She kept checking her phone to make sure she had the right address. She did not want to be late. She did not want David to think she changed her mind. When she walked into the cafe, David was already sitting at a table in the back corner. He looked different from the last time she saw him. He looked tired. His eyes were dark and there were lines on his face that were not there before. He was wearing a simple white shirt, and he had a coffee in front of him that looked like it had gone cold a long time ago. Sarah sat down across from him. They looked at each other for a moment. It was awkward. It was painful. This was her father. The man who used to take her to the park when she was little. The man who used to read her stories before bed. But right now he felt like a stranger. Thank you for coming, David said quietly. Sarah did not smile. She did not nod. She just looked at him and waited. David took a deep breath. He wrapped his hands around the cold coffee cup and stared at it for a second. Then he looked up at Sarah and started talking. Sarah, what I am about to tell you is not easy. And I am not telling you this to hurt you or to hurt your mother. I am telling you because you deserve to know the truth. You have always deserved to know. Then just tell me, Dad, Sarah said. Her voice was firm. I am tired of not knowing. I'm tired of Mom blaming me for everything. I need to know what is really going on. David nodded slowly. He closed his eyes for a second like he was trying to find the right words. Then he opened them again and looked straight at Sarah. 8 years ago, before Emma was born, your mother and I were having serious problems. Our marriage was falling apart. We were fighting every single day. We tried counseling, but nothing worked. One night I told Linda that I wanted a divorce. I was done. I could not do it anymore. Sarah listened carefully. She did not say anything. She just let him keep talking. But Linda did not want a divorce. She was afraid of what people would think. She was afraid of losing the house. She was afraid of losing everything she had built. So she came up with a plan. She told me that if I stayed, she would make sure I never saw you again. She would take you and disappear. I would never find you. Sarah felt her stomach turn. What are you talking about? What do you mean she would take me? David paused. He looked at Sarah with eyes full of guilt and pain. Sarah, Linda is not your biological mother. The words hit Sarah like a bullet. She felt like the ground beneath her had just disappeared. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. She just sat there staring at David like he had just said something in a language she did not understand. What? Sarah finally said. Her voice was barely a whisper. Your real mother was a woman named Karen. Karen and I were together before I met Linda. When Karen found out she was pregnant with you, she did not want to raise you. She gave you up. I took care of you on my own for 2 years before I met Linda. When Linda and I got together, she agreed to raise you as her own. But she never loved you, Sarah. She never accepted you. She always saw you as a reminder of my past. A reminder of someone else. Sarah could not breathe. She felt like someone was sitting on her chest. Her hands were shaking so badly that she had to put them under the table so David would not see. So all this time, Sarah said slowly, all this time Mom has been blaming me for you leaving. But the real reason she hates me is because I am not her daughter. David looked down at the table. He did not say anything. He did not have to. His silence said everything. Sarah sat there for a long time without saying a word. The cafe was busy around her. People were laughing and talking and drinking coffee like the world was normal. But for Sarah, everything had just changed. Everything she thought she knew about her life was a lie. Why did you not tell me before? Sarah asked. Her voice was shaking now. She could not hold it together anymore. Why did you wait this long? Because Linda made me promise, David said. She made me swear that I would never tell you. She said if I ever told you, she would make sure I lost everything. My job. My house. Everything. And I was scared, Sarah. I was a coward. I should have told you a long time ago, but I was too afraid. And Rachel? Sarah asked. The other woman. Was that real or was that another lie? David nodded. Rachel is real. But she is not the reason I left. I left because I could not take it anymore. The way Linda treated you. The way she looked at you. I watched my daughter get hurt every single day by a woman who was supposed to love her, and I did nothing about it. Rachel just gave me the courage to finally walk out. But you were the real reason, Sarah. I left because I could not stand watching what Linda was doing to you. Sarah felt tears rolling down her face now. She could not stop them. She had been holding them in for so long. For weeks. For months. Maybe even for years without even knowing it. All the pain she had been feeling her whole life. The feeling that something was always wrong. The feeling that Linda never truly loved her. It all made sense now. Does Emma know? Sarah asked, wiping her face with her hands. No, David said. Emma is Linda's biological daughter. She does not know anything about you. Linda made sure of that. Sarah thought about Emma, her sweet little sister who looked up to her every single day. The girl she had been protecting and lying to for weeks. Emma did not know that they were not even related by blood. Emma did not know that the family she loved was built on lies. "What do I do now, Dad?" Sarah asked. She looked at David, and for the first time she did not see him as the father who had abandoned her. She saw him as a man who had made mistakes, big mistakes. But he was still her father. And he was sitting right in front of her trying to fix what he had broken. David reached across the table and held Sarah's hand. His eyes were wet now too. "You do whatever you need to do, Sarah. But I want you to know that I am sorry. I am so sorry. For everything. You deserved better than what I gave you. And you definitely deserved better than what Linda gave you." Sarah held his hand and looked at him for a long time. She had so many more questions, so many things she needed to know. But, for now, this was enough. This was the truth she had been looking for. And now that she had it, she could not go back to pretending everything was normal. When Sarah walked out of the cafe, the sun was setting. The sky was orange and pink and beautiful, but Sarah did not see any of it. She was too busy thinking. Too busy processing everything David had just told her. She was not Linda's daughter. Her whole life had been a lie. And now she had to decide what to do with the truth. She walked home slowly. When she opened the front door, Linda was sitting on the couch watching television. Linda did not even look up when Sarah walked in. Sarah stood in the doorway and looked at her mother. Or the woman she thought was her mother. And for the first time, Sarah did not feel hurt or confused when Linda ignored her. She felt something else. Something much stronger. She felt free. Because now she knew the truth. And Linda could never take that away from her. That night Sarah could not sleep again. But this time it was not because of fear or sadness. It was because her mind was moving so fast she could not slow it down. Everything was different now. Everything she had ever known about her family had been ripped apart and put back together in a completely new way. She lay in bed and stared at the ceiling and replayed every single moment of her life in her head. Every time Linda looked at her with cold eyes. Every time Linda ignored her. Every time Linda said something cruel. It all made sense now. Linda never loved her. Linda never wanted her. Sarah was just a reminder of David's past. A reminder that Linda could never get rid of. The next morning Sarah got up early. She showered and got dressed and came downstairs. Linda was already in the kitchen making coffee. Emma was sitting at the table eating toast and scrolling through her phone. The house looked the same as it always did. But for Sarah, everything was completely different now. Sarah sat down at the table next to Emma. Linda did not look at her. She never did anymore. Sarah just sat there quietly and watched Linda move around the kitchen. She watched the way Linda smiled at Emma. The way she asked Emma if she wanted more toast. The way she touched Emma's hair gently as she walked past her. Linda was a completely different person when it came to Emma. Warm, kind, loving. But the moment her eyes landed on Sarah, that warmth disappeared. It was like a switch being turned off. Sarah watched all of this and she felt something building inside her chest. It had been building for weeks now. Ever since David left. Ever since Linda started blaming her. But now it was bigger than before. Now it had a reason behind it. A real reason. And Sarah knew that if she did not do something soon, it was going to consume her. After Emma left for school, Sarah stayed at the kitchen table. Linda was washing dishes at the sink with her back turned to Sarah. The house was quiet, too quiet. Sarah took a deep breath and spoke. "Mom, we need to talk." Linda did not turn around. "I have nothing to say to you, Sarah." "Well, I have something to say to you," Sarah said. Her voice was calm, steady. Nothing like the scared girl who used to shake when Linda raised her voice. "I know the truth. I know everything." Linda's hands stopped moving in the sink. Sarah could see her shoulders get tense. But she still did not turn around. "I talked to Dad yesterday," Sarah continued. "He told me everything. He told me that you are not my real mother. He told me about Karen. He told me why you have been treating me the way you have been treating me my whole life. I know everything, Linda." The kitchen was completely silent. Sarah could hear the clock ticking on the wall. She could hear the refrigerator humming. She could hear her own heartbeat in her ears. But Linda did not say a word. She did not move. She just stood there with her hands in the sink. Then slowly Linda turned around. She turned off the water and dried her hands on the towel and faced Sarah. Her face was white, not angry. Not cold, white, like all the color had been drained out of her. For the first time since David left, Sarah saw something in Linda's eyes that she had never seen before. Fear. Real fear. David had no right to tell you that, Linda said. Her voice was quiet, shaking slightly. Maybe not, Sarah said. But someone had to, because you never were going to tell me, were you? Linda did not answer. She just stood there looking at Sarah like she was seeing her for the first time. Really seeing her. Do you know how long I have been waiting for someone to explain to me why you look at me the way you do? Sarah asked. Do you know how many nights I cried in my room because I thought something was wrong with me? I thought I was the problem. I thought I was the reason this family was falling apart, and the whole time it was because of you. You made me believe I was broken when I was never broken at all. Linda's eyes filled with tears. She opened her mouth to say something, but nothing came out. She just stood there crying silently. Sarah stood up from the table. She looked at Linda for a long moment. She waited. She waited to see if Linda would apologize. If Linda would finally say the words she had needed to hear for so long, I am sorry. But Linda just stood there crying and saying nothing. Sarah nodded. Slowly, like she had expected this. Like she had always known that Linda was never going to be the mother she needed. I am going to stay here until I finish school, Sarah said. For Emma, not for you. Emma does not know the truth yet, and I am not going to be the one to destroy her world right now. But when I turn 18, I am leaving this house. And I am never. Looking back, Linda finally spoke. Her voice was broken, barely above a whisper. Sarah, please. I know I did not treat you right. I know I blamed you for things that were not your fault. But please do not go. Please do not leave. I have no one else. Sarah looked at her. The woman who had made her life so painful for so long. The woman who had looked at her with hate and disgust for years. The woman who was now standing in front of her, crying and begging her not to leave. Sarah felt something inside her chest. It was not anger anymore. It was not even sadness. It was something quieter, something heavier. It was pity. You should have thought about that before, Sarah said softly. And then she walked out of the kitchen. The weeks that followed were strange. Linda changed. Not completely. Not overnight. But enough that Sarah noticed it. Linda stopped blaming her. She stopped ignoring her. She started cooking dinner for the whole family again. She started saying good morning to Sarah when she came downstairs. It was not perfect. It was not like they were a normal family. But it was better. And for now that was enough. Emma never found out the truth. Not during that time. Sarah made the decision to protect her little sister from it. Emma was still young. She still believed in the family. She still believed that everything was going to be okay. And Sarah was not going to take that away from her. Not yet. Maybe one day when Emma was older, Sarah would tell her everything. But not now. David called Sarah every week after that. They talked for hours sometimes. About everything. About Karen. About Linda. About the past. About the future. It was not easy. Their relationship was still broken in many ways. David had made mistakes that could never be fully fixed. But he was trying, and Sarah could see that. She could see that he was trying to be the father he should have been from the beginning. Rachel never came into the picture again. Sarah never asked about her, and David never brought her up. It did not matter anymore. Rachel was never the real story. She was just a small part of a much bigger mess. The real story was always about Linda, about the lies, about the years of pain that Sarah had carried without even knowing why. On the night before Sarah turned 18, she sat in her bedroom one last time. The room she had grown up in. The room where she had cried so many nights alone. The room where she had made herself a promise to find the truth. She looked around at everything. The bed. The desk. The window that looked out at the backyard where she used to play as a little girl. She memorized all of it. Because tomorrow she was leaving. Emma came into the room that night, just like she used to do when she was younger. She sat on the bed and looked at Sarah with those big brown eyes. "Are you really leaving tomorrow?" Emma asked. Sarah smiled at her little sister. A real smile. The kind she had not given in a long time. "Yes," Sarah said. "But I am not going far. And I am going to call you every single day. I promise." Emma nodded. Then she moved closer to Sarah and hugged her tight. Sarah wrapped her arms around her sister and held her. She closed her eyes and breathed in the moment. No matter what happened. No matter how broken this family was. Emma was the one thing that was still pure. Still good. Still worth holding on to. "I love you, Sarah," Emma whispered. "I love you too," Sarah said. "More than anything in this world." The next morning Sarah woke up early. She packed her bag. She took one last look around her room. Then she walked downstairs. Linda was standing at the bottom of the stairs. She looked old, tired, broken. She looked at Sarah and for a moment it seemed like she wanted to say something. Something real. Something meaningful. But she did not. She just nodded. Sarah nodded back. And then she walked out the front door. The sun was rising. The sky was bright and golden and full of possibility. Sarah stood on the porch for a moment and took a deep breath. The air felt different. It felt clean. It felt like a new beginning. Had spent her whole life feeling like she did not belong. Like she was the problem. Like something was wrong with her. But now she knew the truth. And the truth set her free. She was not broken. She was never broken. She was just a girl who deserved to be loved. And one day she was going to find that love. Not from Linda, not from David, but from herself. Sarah picked up her bag and started walking. She did not look back. There was no need to. Everything she needed was ahead of her now. Not behind her. And for the first time in her life Sarah smiled. A real smile. A smile that came from deep inside her heart. Because she was finally free. That is the end of Sarah's story. But I want you to think about something before you go. How many families out there are hiding secrets just like this one? How many girls and boys are growing up believing they are the problem when they are not? How many mothers and fathers are carrying lies that are destroying the people they are supposed to love? This story might be Sarah's story. But the pain in it is real. And it happens more than you think. If this story touched you in any way, make sure you subscribe to Her Words. Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a single video. And if you have your own story that you want to share, drop a comment below and let me know. This channel is for real people sharing real pain. And together we can make each other feel less alone. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.